Hello, so welcome to another reading vlog. This week I'm going to be reading a few books actually, but primarily I'm going to be reading Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. This is part of like a Cosmere reread that I've been doing. I've read probably about half the books on the Cosmere, but I decided to start again, make sure I pick up on everything that's going on that might be like related to the bigger Cosmere world. And then like fill in all the gaps of ones which I've missed out. So I have actually read Mistborn before, but quite a while ago, and I think actually it was the first book in the Cosmere that I read. There's so many things that I wasn't aware of. I really had no idea about how Brandon Sanderson approaches writing at all. And so of course I loved it, all the twists and turns and everything that goes on in this series, but I'm really excited about rereading it and getting to experience that all over again. So if you don't know about this book, it's basically a story where the bad guy won, the Lord Ruler is like an evil dictator type guy, and a bunch of people are now going to try and overthrow him. In this world where people are able to have different metal-based powers, so when they swallow particular metals, they get particular powers, so each metal is associated with a certain power. And there are also these people called the Mistborn who can use all the powers or all the metals. I actually think this book is referred to as the Final Empire sometimes as well, because this is the first book in the Mistborn trilogy. So I'm going to be reading this as well before I tell you about the audiobooks that I'm going to be reading. I did get the Mistborn box for Brandon Sanderson's Kickstarter, his Secret Project Kickstarter. So this is the Mistborn box. So it goes with the book. And I thought to myself, wouldn't I enjoy this more after I've read Mistborn? But also, like, it's been so hard. I've had this already for like a week and I've really wanted to open it. I think what I've decided to do is there should be 4 things in here, including the character pin. So this is about 600 pages long. As a reward for every 150 pages I get through, I'm going to take one thing out of the box, which means I still have to wait a little bit. But I think I can manage to wait a little while, and hopefully it'll motivate me to get through this, because I have been very behind on all my reading plans lately. Not really because I haven't been motivated to read though, more just because time has not been on my side. But anyway, I do also have, as well as Mistborn, I have a couple of audiobooks that I'll be reading. So firstly, I have already started The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi by Shannon Chakraborty. So this is one a lot of people are raving about at the moment. To be honest, I read S.A. Chakraborty's previous series, the Daevabad trilogy. Actually, I only read the first book and I really didn't like it, so I didn't continue. But since everyone was raving about this one, and I think like that was more of a YA book, whereas this is, I think, an adult book, hopefully, because otherwise I don't know how we'll go. But I've been hearing so many good things about it, I decided to pick it up. So in this, it's basically this retired pirate telling her story of how she got back into being a pirate. And I am so far enjoying it. She's quite a character. I think this is what a lot of people are talking about. It's written with quite a genuine voicing of this older retired pirate. I always like books with older characters now that I'm getting older, and just for something different. So I'm looking forward to it. So far though, all that's really happened is someone has come along and convinced her to go on a bit of an adventure, to give up retirement and try and save somebody that needs saving. It felt to me like that took quite a long time to get through. Maybe though it was just because I was listening to this audiobook while I was doing some weeding in the garden, and I hate weeding, and so it felt like it was really long. But was it the book or was it the weeding? I'm not sure. Anyway, tomorrow I do have my infusion regular hospital appointment thing, so I will be walking there and back, so I have quite a lot of audiobook listening time, as well as hopefully some physical book reading time, although as always I say I'm really bad at focusing on reading when I'm at the hospital, so no promises. I am also hoping to get another audiobook this week, so I have a hold on Godkiller by Hannah Kaner, and when I'm on the main BorrowBox page it says available on the 20th of May, but when I go into it, it says available on the 15th of July. I really hope the May date is the correct one, because I'm hoping it'll come through this week, like by the time I finish The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi. So fingers crossed. All I know about Godkiller so far is that there is this world where there are gods and Godkillers, and then there's also a god that somehow attached themselves to a young child, and so they all kind of end up traveling together for some reason. I don't know, but I've heard amazing things about that one as well, so I'm hoping I will love everything I'm reading this week. Fingers crossed, as always. And other than my infusion, I don't really know what else is happening this week, but we will find out.
Lazy Sunday mornings, hiding under covers. I don't mind staying in with you. Play your favorite movie, laying right beside me. I don't mind when it's just us two. That corner coffee shop we like to go. Late night walks with you to take me home. With you I never feel alone.
Hello, so I have read 150 pages of Mistborn, which means that we can open the box. I have my scissors. I still hate that the shipping sticker covers over the other sticker, although to be honest, I have found other purposes for these boxes or thrown them away, so I guess it doesn't really matter. Anyway, I'm not going to look inside. What I'm going to do is like reach inside without looking. There's a bit of paper on top, and then inside. Why does it feel like that? Okay, I'm gonna take this because what is it? What is it? What is it? It's so cute. What is it though? Oh no, is this that? I think this is a character that I haven't got to yet. See, this is why I knew that I should read the series again before I read this. I feel like he's all like vacuum sealed in. Let's free him. What is he like? He like turns inside out? But like, he's so cute. I'm in love with him. I think this is like this, spoilers for Mistborn. I think this is one of these characters that can kind of change their shape, but I haven't gotten up to them. So, but honestly, it doesn't matter that I haven't gotten up to them yet. I can see them, and I always wanted one of these like flippy things where you can have it on your desk and it's like, you know, you can come up to me if it's this way, but if I've put it onto this side, then leave me the fuck alone. It's so cute. This is, I think, my most favorite thing from this box series so far. It's so cute, and I'm sure when I get up to the character, I'll appreciate it more. I don't actually know. Are they in this first book? Maybe a bit later? It's hard to remember. Oh, I really want to keep going through the box now, but I'm just going to enjoy this guy. So, sit there. Let me talk about where I've gotten to in Mistborn. So far, in the first 150 pages, really, it's still just set up. It's really interesting already knowing the world and how the magic works. I realize how much of the beginning of this book is just like setting up the world and introducing how the magic works. But it is good to get a refresher course, and it's not written like too info dumpy, but it is a lot. It is a lot, and a lot of people recommend this as like a good book to pick up if you're new to fantasy. But having reread it, I'm not sure if that's true, because there is a lot to Elemency to really take in, and there's a lot to this world to take in. I feel like it would be too much. The other thing I've noticed, so just recently I reread Elantris. So in Elantris, there's kind of this group of noble people getting together, trying to get the lower class of people to be able to work more autonomously, and there's this whole theory that if they're able to work more autonomously and like live happy lives, that they'll actually be more productive. Same theory was raised in this. And also in this, it's kind of this group of nobles-ish coming together with a bit of a plan to like free the lower classes by overthrowing the leadership. So like there's a lot of similarities actually, and even the dynamics of those groups are very similar, like the same kind of humor and camaraderie. And it really had me wondering, like, Is it the same as Store My Archives? Not quite, but maybe similar. Also, what I'm really loving in this is at the beginning of each chapter, there's like a little introduction part, which is kind of a separate story about some kind of chosen one coming along to save the world, and you don't really understand when you first read it what the context of that is. Of course, this being a reread, I understand the context and I know what's going to happen, and it's really interesting to see that happening. But again, I did find that hero's kind of doubt of their own position to be kind of similar to Lightsong and Warbreaker. So like, I'm actually really enjoying this reread and starting to see all those connections and similarities between the series. Although, I don't know whether that's making me like more impressed or less impressed with Brandon Sanderson's writing. Maybe almost less impressed. However, like my memory of Mistborn is that the reveals at the end and like what happens with the plot was like mind-blowing. But I kind of know some of those things. I'm expecting I've forgotten some. So I'm really interested to see whether I feel like the same mind-blowingness at the end of this reread. Anyway, the other thing that I have done is continue to read The Adventures of Amina, al-Sirafi. And I think I've been listening to it a lot, but I'm only like a quarter of the way in. And so I think I haven't actually been listening to it a lot, but I just feel like I have. Probably because, as I talked about a couple of vlogs ago, my boyfriend's moved in and now I have a lot less audiobook listening time than I used to have, so it's just taking me longer to get through it. Anyway, not that much has really happened still. After deciding to go on this quest and do this task, she's started getting her pirate crew back together, and things are already not going as planned. I still really enjoy the narrative voice and just like it's almost like the frankness of the way that she talks about things. And there's been like a few like mentions of how they're all older now, which I have appreciated. And I kind of like the group. They're kind of like friends, but not really friends. Like they act like they're not friends, but you can tell that deep down they do really trust each other. Although it seems like when Amina stopped being a pirate, that maybe there are some bad feelings about that. As well, there is another character that there's all these little mentions about, and I think, like I'm only a quarter of the way in, so it can't be spoilers, right? But I think, even though it's trying to imply that a certain character is dead, I don't think they are. And I'm kind of hoping that it's going to come together in a really interesting, fantastical way, because I definitely find some fantasies I pick them up and then they're not very fantastical, and this one does have a fair amount of like, what I think, I'm not a historian, but I think it's like accurate history woven into the story. I really need to look up the map that it mentioned. Even though there's also at the beginning of each chapter, there's like kind of the supplementary material. And there was one mention of the map, or like also Amina having conversations with this chronicler who's writing down her story that she's telling. And there was one mention where he was like wanting to look at the map, and she was like, who listens to a pirate's tale to learn more about geography? I really enjoyed that. But I think I might do it anyway. But maybe tomorrow, because tonight it's getting late and I'm just going to go to bed and try and read some more of this because I am really enjoying it. And maybe this guy can come to bed with me. It's nighttime though, right? So he can be in this mode. He's so cute. Good morning. So I have finished another 150 pages of this, which means we can get another thing out of the box. I'm super excited. It was honestly so hard having this open on my desk, not to like reach in and at least touch something. But let's set realistic expectations here. It's probably not going to be as cool as this, the next thing that we get out, but we're going to get another thing. So what will we get? Ooh. A big box? Okay, but this looks fancy. I was not expecting something fancy. Manufactured by Inventor's Guide. How does this box open? I'm not looking so that you can look first. It's just paper. It's a card. Do I read the card? No, I look at the thing first. And probably I'll be confused. Is this going to be some kind of like wind vane? Or just like a book, what's it called? Thing at the end? Oh, bookend. It's called a bookend. More bits? There's lots of bits. And they've all got numbers and letters on them. Oh, this is going to require construction. Okay, that's all the bits. Now let's read the card. Mistborn bookends. Construction time. Slide 1 into 2. 1. Once again, the Dragonsteel team really trusting my ability to do manual things. Just a reader, bro. Do you think this looks like Batman? I'm sure it's meant to be like Calcier or something. Oh, I always forget about Mistborn Era 2. It could also be like Wax and Wayne or whoever. Ooh, it's kind of cool. I really didn't expect the second thing I got out to be as cool as this. To be honest though, at the moment, because I'm down to like everything on 2 bookshelves, I don't actually really have room for bookends. And I still don't really know, like, once we move, what the situation will be like. I might still have a limited library space. So, not sure where these bookends are really going to go. Anyway, let me build the other one. It doesn't want to go in. It hates me. I followed the instructions. I didn't follow the instructions, but I know that they're right. Okay, that's not in at all, but it's kind of in. Dragonsteel, guys. I'm not as good at constructing things as you would like me to be. Now it's all jammed in the wrong place. So this one is cool too. I assume this is Vin with her mist cloak. Only thing is that one of the things that's meant to go into a slot, like, isn't going in. It's just one of them. It's really annoying me. But it kind of looks fine anyway, even not proper. So maybe we don't care that it's not proper. Anyway, those are cool, but I don't know where I'm going to put them. To be honest, maybe I shouldn't have made so much effort putting them together, as I may just need to take them apart to prepare them for moving. Anyway, let me tell you about my thoughts about the last 150 pages. I am really enjoying already knowing the direction of the story and knowing some of the twists. You can see how much of it he's actually seeding quite early, but on a first read, like, things you just wouldn't pick up on. Or like, they're kind of, you're given the information, but it's given to you in a like, here's just some peripheral world building information, so you don't think that it's that relevant. As well, Vin has started going to these balls, where all the young nobles go to, kind of to spy. To be honest, I'm not sure about that argument as to why that's a useful part of the plan, but we'll go along with it. And she has met this guy named Eland. I'll probably say a lot of these names wrong. Eland? Anyway, I do really like the interactions between Vin and Eland. I don't know what I even say in my head. I probably don't say anything in my head. Fantasy names, huh? Anyway, I really like the interactions, and knowing where that's going to go, again, is just quite an enjoyable thing. And slowly seeing Vin start to trust the rest of the crew. One thing I will say is I also, the first time I read this, I really did see Calcier as a hero. And then recently I did a video about morally grey characters, and I was trying to come up with examples, and I saw Calcier on a few lists, and I thought, is he? Because isn't he a hero? But on my reread again, no, he is not always doing the right thing, which I'd kind of forgotten. So I'm loving my reread, and I will keep going with this. I've just noticed I've been filming for ages. That'll be because it took me so long to put that together. Anyway, loving my reread of this. Definitely going to try and keep going. It's already Saturday, so can I finish this weekend? I definitely want to. It just depends how many other things I have to do. House stuff. It never ends. Anyway, as well, I've been listening to the audiobook of Amina al-Sirafi, and I think I'm actually very far through it because I was listening to it again while I cleaned my deck, because that's all I do these days. But I've only got half of my little deck left to go, and then that's done, which would be amazing. And then I can move on to other cleaning tasks. But anyway, I've only got 5 hours left of this. It was a 16-hour audiobook. BorrowBox doesn't give you a percentage, so you do the maths. But I think I'm getting pretty close to the end. 5 hours, be about 3 hours of listening. Take me about 3 hours to finish that deck. So I can probably finish it off soonish, which is good because actually my hold of Godkiller did come through, and I was surprised to see that it's a 13-hour audiobook, because when I had seen a lot of people talking about that book, they kept saying like, oh, look how thin it is. But anyway, that means I've still got a lot more audiobook to read this weekend. But Jace isn't coming back till like Monday or Tuesday this week, so I've got a lot of like me time. potentially audiobook listening time. And as I said, I've got a lot of house stuff to do, which is audiobook listening time. But anyway, The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi, I'm really liking it. We got to meet one of Amina's husbands, ex-husbands. She has like 5 ex-husbands or something. And I quite like it, actually. Maybe I almost ship it, even though I don't think you're supposed to. Are you supposed to? Maybe you are. Anyway, he's a very interesting character. She's definitely described him at the beginning as a monster, which isn't inaccurate. But like, could he turn into a good guy? Maybe. There's also been quite a few like darker elements of the story introduced, which I do enjoy. Right at the moment, they're in the middle of a sea battle with a sea monster, and they're probably all going to die, but probably not. I will actually be very surprised if this book kills off any of the main characters, especially because this is the beginning of a series, but we'll see, we'll see. I still would say I don't feel like there's a lot of depth to this story. Like, it's a fun adventure, but I don't think there's a lot of themes beyond the basics. But maybe I'm missing things, I don't know. But I am having fun reading it, which is a relief after I didn't like the David Bad trilogy so much. Anyway, I have lots to do today, and it's already 11 o'clock in the morning, so I better go on and get some shit done. Hello, so I'm sure you can guess I've read another 150 pages of this, which means we get to get the last real thing out of this box. Then it's just the character pin. So, let's see. The box feels very light now, so I don't think it's going to be anything too exciting. Is this the character? Oh. This. Oh. Okay, so it looks like a bunch of stickers. Let's have a closer look at them. So firstly, I guess this is Calcia, and then this must be Vin, and then this must be, I'm thinking Sazed. I don't know how to say any names still. And then this, I feel like is a lady that comes along later. There's always a risk that some of these are Mistborn era too, which I still haven't read. This must be Elend. I'm going to call him Elend. This would be our little guy there. And then this lady, I'm not sure. Maybe it's meant to be Vin when she's like her fancy Vin at the balls. And this guy, is this the Lord Ruler? I'm not really sure. I mean, obviously my favorite one is definitely this one. And I really don't know where I will use these. This is always my problem with stickers. Like, I kind of just want to keep them when they're cool, but also, like, the point of stickers is to use them, to put them somewhere that's cool, right? So I want to find somewhere to put them, but also, like, do I really have that many places to put stickers? I don't know. It's so hard to find a place that feels like the stickers are going to hold their value. Like, what does that even mean? I don't know. I'm going to try and use these somewhere. I don't know where, though, but I'm going to try and find a place to use them. Oh no, I can't fit them back in the bag. It's Calcia's miscloak that's causing the problems. Calcia, such a troublemaker. Why can't you be more like Vin? She's good. Ah. Oh no, it's just started raining really heavy again. I hope you can't hear it. I was going to film another video after this. So hopefully that rain won't last. Anyway, I think it's not too loud. So we should be okay. I remembered to plug in my microphone this time, unlike my last video. Okay, so let me tell you what I've been thinking about this. Firstly, the thing I found interesting is just how much other magic is in this world. Like, whenever people talk about the series, they always talk about allomancy and how people can consume the metals and then have these mistborn powers or misting powers. But there is actually, like, multiple other kinds of magic in this world as well. So yeah, I'm loving the magic in this world, and also just the way that Brandon Sanderson incorporates it into the whole world, like makes it feel like a part of the world. I think it's something a lot of other authors struggle with that he does really well. As well, like something I have noticed as I have read this is like a lot of the time Brandon Sanderson's writing does feel very basic, and that is something people criticize him for. But also, like, there is a lot through here which is really just dialogue info dumping, and reading it right next to reading The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi, there's a part where she started doing a bunch of dialogue info dumping, which is what she does a lot in the David Bad trilogy, or at least in that first book, which I really didn't like. But something about the way that Brandon Sanderson does dialogue info dumping, as I'm calling it, is that he does it in a way where the conversation feels natural and it doesn't feel too heavy. I think earlier in the start of the book I talked about it being a lot, but it's a lot, but the way he does it does make it a lot more easy to consume, like the depth of world building that he's done. And so I don't think that the basic writing really hurts it overall, and I think he's probably better at writing than you realize, or you only realize when you read an actually not so great writer. I feel like the segue into the Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi makes it sound like I'm going to say that the writing is not very good, and there are parts. So I was really enjoying the Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi, and I finished it now. So I had a lot of fun with it. There are some cool surprises along the way, and the way the supernatural element is introduced is really interesting, and I think there's a lot of potential for this series, although like it sets up the rest of the series, but I feel like the setup is much more like logistical rather than emotional. And so like I don't feel that need, like, oh my god, I need to read the next book straight away. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, cool, she's going to go on some more adventures. I guess that's what the title's setting up, is that this is like an adventure. As well, there was a part where I think it's kind of a little bit of a crossover with the Daevabad series, which people who love that series will probably be very excited. I don't know though, like it might just be that because both those series are based on the same mythology that there's some similar elements being used. But anyway, there was kind of this part where she ends up, it's hard to describe, especially without spoiling it, but she kind of ends up in this more magical part of the world. And in that world, I felt like there was a lot of this dialogue info dumping, and I just don't like the way she does it. Like straight away, I was like, oh no, is this going to turn into the Daevabad trilogy? Because I didn't like that. But also, like, a lot of people like that, so if you like the Daevabad trilogy, that bit probably wouldn't annoy you. But it did annoy me. Just that part, though, and then we got over it, we got back into the adventure, I was enjoying it. There are definitely some parts which I find laugh out loud, like I was walking around listening to my audiobook, and I was laughing to myself, probably looking crazy walking down the street. But I really do think the Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi, like, it's just a lot of fun. I can see why everyone's enjoying it. But I also think that right at the end there's quite a fair amount of action. And for me, it got a little bit boring. But like I don't think it's hindered my overall enjoyment of the book. It was a lot of fun. Anyway, I think what I have decided though is I'm not going to start Godkiller because it's Sunday now. And if I try to start it, I'm going to have to rush it to be able to get into my reading plans for next week. And like, for reasons, I can't push those reading plans back. So I think I don't want to rush through Godkiller because I've heard so many great things about it. And so the audiobook is longer than I was expecting. So I think I'm going to push that one back, read it in a few more weeks. So check back in if you want to know my thoughts about Godkiller. But otherwise, I'm just going to try today to finish off Mistborn. We can get our final character pin out. It's either going to be Kelsier or Wax and Wayne. That's my guess. Because I've already got Vin. I'll figure out for my next update when we get the pin out of the box. But yeah, I'm going to finish this and then we will talk about final thoughts.
If you set yourself on fire, I never let you burn. I would smoke you till my lungs hurt and love you till I'm dirt. Oh, I'm not sure where all this goes. What I do know is I'll never let you go. When my world is falling.
Hello, so I have finished Mistborn and I really enjoyed this reread. I really want to just continue the series, although I have a lot of other reading plans before I can get back to continuing it. I'm basically trying to read a book from the Cosmere every month, and the way I've lined it up, I think I will finish Rhythm of War just in time for Knights of Truth and Wind, the last or the next Stormlight Archive book to be released. So like I kind of just want to keep with that plan and not go too crazy, but I really enjoyed this. I will say, like, not as mind-blowing on a reread, but it was very satisfying to see how the pieces all came together. And I can definitely see how, like, the first time you read this, it would be mind-blowing. Like, Brandon Sanderson is just really good at putting all the pieces in place and then like having it all come together in a way that feels very natural. Also, like, some bits in here that were quite dark. I was thinking again about Amina al-Sirafi, and like, I think with that, like, as I said, a lot of fun, but just like for a pirate story, not as dark as I would have liked. Whereas this, like, you kind of, I think Brandon Sanderson has this reputation of being, what's the word? I don't know. I heard someone call him juvenile the other day. Like, I guess just like trying to put a lot of goodness into his books, but he does also have some of his characters do some really awful things. And while I think there are parts of this where it does come across a little bit preachy, perhaps, there's also a lot of times where it's just asking questions and not trying to make out like any of the characters or that he himself has all the answers, which I do appreciate. So yeah, I really enjoyed this reread. Which means, actually, we can now look at the pin that will be in this box. So, I can actually open the box, actually. Watch out for my drink. In the box it says, the only way to create something that nobody hates is to ensure that it can't be loved either. Remove enough spice from soup and you'll just end up with water. Okay, so we got this paper again, we got this card with everything in it, and then we have the pin. So, as I expected, it's wax. He's pretty cute. I'm a little bit scared of Mistborn Era 2, just because from what I've heard, it sounds like one of the, or at least it sounds like the series starts out like one of these kind of humorous, silly books that Brandon Sanderson sometimes writes, which I don't really like. But I have heard that it gets better and that it's like an important piece of the Cosmere, so I'll read it, but I'm scared of it. But I mean, I've got wax here. Oh, I'm missing, I was like, hang on, the numbers don't make sense, but it's because I still haven't received box number 4 with the second secret project book in it. I know they're having a lot of problems with actually getting them shipped out, and they just shipped out a lot to like the earliest backers of the Kickstarter. I was definitely not an early backer because I was humming and hawing about whether I could afford it, and to be honest, I decided I couldn't afford it, and then I had a really stressful day at work and decided I deserved a reward. And like, it's a nice gift from me of the past that had money to me of the now who doesn't have money to buy anything new or any new books. Anyway, the other pins that I did have, I found them. So we've got, the first one was Vin, which I really love Vin a lot. The second one is Hoyd. I will say, I always thought when people would talk about Hoyd being in all the books, I was like, how am I missing this? But having reread Elantris and Mistborn, I'm like, oh, he's just like a nothing minor character that you wouldn't bother remembering the name of. I guess some people did, and some people are super observant, but I am not. And then we have Steris, who's also Mistborn Era 2, apparently. She looks super cute, so I'm excited about her. I don't know about Wax. He seems like he might be annoying. But anyway, it'll be exciting to see what other character pins we get in the other boxes, how long it takes for Secret Project 2 to turn up. And of course, if you want to follow along with my Cosmere reread, then subscribe and all that stuff. I'll be reading a book a month. Probably, I think, all of this year and all of next year. He's written a lot of books. Oh, and actually next week, I'm going to be continuing The Wheel of Time, which is technically also Sanderson. Anyway, let me know what you've been reading. Have you been reading anything good? Or let me know if you've got any thoughts about Mistborn or The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you are doing well, and I will see you next time.